Working. Oh, hi. I'm having technical. Be wireless. Unfortunately, the wireless thing is not working. Okay. Can you hear me now, Megan? I've unplugged the other thing and plugged in my old speaker, so I won't be wireless. So hopefully. And if you want to put the little apron on to avoid getting paint on you, you can. If you're paranoid about getting paint on your sleeves, oh, you don't have any sleeves.
I don't have sleeves.
I was going to say, I have a little smock.
No.
This is so disappointing.
Is this where I sit?
Yes, that's going to be your seat. I'm going to turn all this off. This is so disappointing. When I tested it, it worked. But you're good now. Okay, I'm just going to have to yell. All right. I'll do my spiel again since no one could hear me earlier. And I'll tell you too. This is a program actually we've been doing ever since COVID hit. I used to do it every week on Thursdays. Now we're just doing it every other week on Thursdays at 4. And it's always some kind of crafting program. And I call it Crafting with Opal because I'm Opal. Okay. And this month I did, this is the examples, but this is the one I did yesterday.
Oh, cool. I really like that.
Yeah, I had fun with it. I got this paint out that's over there. So I was going to tell people that if they want to paint the back of the coaster a solid color, if they pick an image that doesn't cover the entire coaster and they want to paint the back of it, they can. And that's what I did, is I painted it black, and then I used a little bit of silver paint to dot it to look like little stars on it. So, yeah, because since it was a starry image or whatever, so you don't have to do it that way. I mean, these are some that...
And where did you get these from?
Lowe's, Home Depot.
Are these just like towels?
Yeah, it's just a towel.
Are you serious?
And you can get little things to put on the bottom of them for little feet, you know, like those little feet. You can buy those at Walmart or whatever. But those are some teens did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, okay. So, like I was telling the person that joined me live with the program, the paint I have is a special paint. It's a Deco Art Americana Gloss Enamels. So it's a special paint that you can buy that's good on like ceramics and stuff. And it does a little bit better. I think if they try regular paint, I think regular acrylic will work too. I haven't tested it yet, but since we're going to be painting over the entire thing with Mod Podge, we won't have any problems with it coming off afterwards. So that's why I'm thinking if you have regular acrylic paint at home, you might want to give it a shot and try it.
Have you did this with anything else besides like pictures or anything?
I've done stickers before, because we did that a long time ago when I wanted to do some fall-looking leaf, and we were going to do actual leaves. And that year we didn't have a real fall. I was like, great. So I had to buy stickers. That year, it's like everything stayed normal, and then it almost all at once, everything just died and fell off the trees. So we didn't have any fall leaves. So in order to, as my backup, I went to the store and just found a bunch of fall stickers, and we did those instead. So, and those are just like either discarded books or comic books that was given to them that they'd done crafts with previously. And what I did, if you are a fan of a certain type of comic book, mine is ElfQuest, and this is a page from an ElfQuest that I went online and printed a page from online.
So you basically can do anything because you can just print something off.
Yeah, so if you want to do it other than comic book, you can do whatever images you want to have. Yeah, and another thing we did virtually was you can take fingernail polish and water, and you have to use a pan that you're going to throw away, but you put drops of fingernail polish in the water and then you dunk the tile in there and it covers it. And you can have these interesting looking, kind of marble looking look on it. And then once it dries, you can paint the Mod Podge over the top of it to seal it too. So yeah, you can do a whole lot of things. I'm gonna be off screen for a second. I'm gonna try to pull up my live stream on here. So while I'm doing it, you'll be able to see what I'm doing up on the screen. Let's see.
You said what?
Up there I am.
I knew the library in doing arts and crafts, and she got like this towel thing, and that's what I was asking, what was your favorite color? She got like all these comic books and stuff, and you pick one, and then I'm gonna make like a coaster type thing out of it.
There we go. Okay. I have it pulled up. So it's a little bit of a delay, I think, because I'm not on the screen yet. Okay, there we go. So this way, while I'm doing it, I'm going to have it turned down on my what I'm doing, so you'll be able to see it. Apparently, it's going to be a bit of a delay, but at least you'll be able to see what I'm doing along with everybody else. Because this is how I normally do it. I'm usually in here all by myself. So I'm going to reverse the screen here in just a second and tilt it. Be able to see my table. There it is. Okay, and I guess I need to turn the light on. It lights everything up really good. And if anyone's following along that just wants to buy their own supplies, they just get a coaster tile, like a tile from, I think these were 11 cents a piece at Lowe's or Home Depot. And then just a cheap little foam paintbrush and Mod Podge, and just some water to rinse your stuff out. And some old towels are always good too, and paper towels and newspaper to cover your surface with. You don't have to have paint brushes, but I grabbed a few of them. If you wanted to paint some designs on there with the paint brushes, I got those out in case you needed it. But I did all of mine, and I don't know if I showed them. Yeah, I showed them earlier, but this one, I did all of it with the foam brush, and it worked just fine. It did, the paint kind of cracked a little bit, but it made it look kind of cool when it did that.
I thought that was how you tried to have it done.
No, it was weird. I painted it solid, like I did one coat. It was kind of not completely covered. I let it dry, and then I did a second coat, and then it was completely covered at that point. But as it dried, it started separating. I guess it got hard, and it separated and pulled, and then it caused the tears in the paint. So I'm like, but it added a really cool effect to it by doing it. So that was a happy accident. I didn't know it was going to do that. So to start with, you'll want to figure out what image you want to put on there. And you can do multiple ones. Like the examples you've got over there, they use like pictures and images from a lot of different things and layered them. So if you decided to do more of a layered effect, you just have to wait for each layer to dry with the Mod Podge. So for example, like the people that are following along, if you wanted to not paint your tile, you would just put down a little bit of Mod Podge in the area of that first image you want, then lay that image on there to kind of let it sit in place, and then you'll want to immediately put Mod Podge on top of the image to make it stay down and not curl up, and you'll let that little section dry good. And I've got blow dryers here, so that way you don't have to wait on it to dry. The only drawback of using a blow dryer, you have to hit this little cool button as you're blow drying it so it's not hot, because you don't want it to be hot when you're drying it. And that's the same way I do that a lot in just acrylic painting, like in between coats and stuff. You want it to hurry it up. Just as long as you use the cool instead of the hot, then it does just fine and it won't mess it up. So and this is what actually in 2 weeks, that's what we're going to be doing. So if you want to sign up for that, the sign up sheet's at the front desk.
Absolutely.
So, and we do a lot of that type of stuff.
Do you do anything with resin?
No, but my coworker that was watching here, checking my volume, she is actually playing with stuff like that at home right now. So we're hoping maybe we could do a craft like that eventually.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all into kinds of crafts here. She does quilling and needle felting. So she's done several quilling and needle felting, which quilling is a paper craft that you do like different. You can do cards like Christmas cards or whatever. It's like paper that's wrapped into little circles of like strips of paper that is turned into little circles, and you just make different shapes and stuff with them on your. It's interesting. I'd never seen it before, but one of the girls did a snowman Christmas card for us, and Megan did no sound. Somebody else is saying there's no sound now. Well, darn. It's the same thing here. I know what. I'm gonna. Let's see. I am going to turn on the volume here. I'm gonna try some of that. This thing right here. Well, actually, shouldn't it come out of the speaker with this? Oh, Melissa Hanby is the one that responded to her. She's the mom of one of the girls that works here. So, like, okay, no sound. Oh, you're good now. Okay. Maybe I played around with it. Okay, good. Yay. That had me paranoid. Okay. Alrighty. So, yeah, just figure out what you, what kind of image you want or how you want to do it. I'm gonna actually pick an image that's too big for it, so I'm gonna have to cut it down. I want to do this one, but I'm not going to do the whole one. So, and it's not going to fill up the entire tile. Oops. Okay, so this is the image I'm going to do. And I'm not sure, since y'all couldn't hear me earlier, you can go online and print off, images that you want to do, any kind of paper type images, and stickers work too, if you want to do stickers. And actually, I didn't ever get to do it, but fall leaves and stuff, I mean, anything that's not too terribly bulky, you could probably put that on there too. Because it's just Mod Podge. It's just a glue that's gluing it down. And let's see. Since I'm going to be cutting, I might cut the white edges off of this one, because I'm going to be cutting the top of this off. Let's see how it's going to look before I cut the top of it off. And I always forget what a delay it is on doing these live programs. Okay, so I got mine cut out, and mine's not going to fill up my tile for sure, so I'm going to try to measure it out. So I'll need to cut it off. I don't have a pen to mark that. I'm going to move this to see. Let's see if I can lower this down some more to get a little closer to what I'm doing. So let me see. I found a pencil, but let's see. I don't know if this is going to show up on here or not. I can kind of see that indentation. Let's see. Maybe if I snip it with my scissors. Right about there. And then maybe fold it to get a straight line. That may not end up being very straight, but that'll be close enough. Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot to choose from on our stuff that we had available. And I was trying to guess what people would like, the ones that were picking up their supplies from us. I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you like Spider-Man or do you like Superman? Or do you like manga?
I think this is really cool. Like, this is so up my alley.
Oh, good.
I'm so happy I found this.
Another reason why we're doing comic books is because this week is actually a celebration. It's called the Will Eisner Week, and they're celebrating Will Eisner. I'll give everyone a little bit of a history lesson on graphic novels. He's considered the father of graphic novels because he coined the phrase graphic novels, but he didn't actually come up with it on his own. Someone else had actually used the phrase once before, but it didn't stick. People just didn't. But whenever he did it, he was trying to sell a graphic novel, comic book that he had done. And in order to make it sound better, when he was trying to pitch it to a publisher, he called it a graphic novel because it had novel in the title. They decided to see him. Otherwise, whenever he went to try to get it, to see a publisher on it, they're like, no, it's a comic book. We don't do comic books.
Yeah.
And so he was having a hard time getting it published, so he called it a graphic novel, and that got him in the door to try to see a publisher and stuff. And when he used that phrase, it started sticking, and people started using the phrase on a regular basis. So I did a history thing one time on graphic novels and found out all kinds of cool stuff about graphic novels. And I was like, I never knew who Will Eisner was. I'd heard of him, but had never seen any of his stuff before. So I picked out my image and I got it all cut out, and I think I'm going to do it the same way I did my other one with the black background. But a friend of mine recommended maybe making it more of a dark blue instead of a solid black. So I'm going to grab a little bit of blue.
Those the ones that I used that I want.
Yeah, if you want to use those. And I've got second bottles of these, but I'm going to use what's in the open one first before we open up the other ones. So I'm going to, and I got the little paper plate so you can put your paint in the paper plate to first.
Okay.
And this is, I'll just show you real quick. This is what we did. That's what this paint, we did like a brush stroke craft.
That's cute.
And you can actually put it in the oven to make the paint set, and that way when you wash it in the dishwasher, it won't come off and stuff. You can't eat on it, it's not food safe, unfortunately. So when we did it on the outside of coffee mugs. because you can't eat off the plate. But you can drink out of your coffee mug. So
I am going to be here forever.
we're always trying to find cool crafts.
That's neat. Do y'all work with the Cricut machine any?
We've got a really super old one. We need to update and get a newer one so we can do more stuff. But yeah, we keep trying. We're doing more and more stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Now that we're actually going to be able to have people in the building again for programs, we'll probably do a lot more things. Yeah. It's kind of limited whenever you're having to do it virtually because you're trying to give out supplies for it, and that can be cost prohibitive when you have to like bundle them up in little packages that you give to people. And I have sewing classes too. So
Are you serious?
yeah.
When is your sewing class?
I haven't had it yet, but we have like 6 sewing machines in the cabinet and a bunch
Can
of.
I bring my own?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I always tell people to do that because I'd rather you learn on your own machine too if you can do that.
You just made my day.
And we did those all the time. That was my most popular class was the sewing class. So yeah, that's definitely. Oh no, the black is making the blue look kind of a gray color. Well.
I got you. When it look like Bill Cosby had to be still shirt, you still wear it with pride, okay?
Well, I guess I'll use this blue anyway. It looks a little. I don't know.
You don't want a shirt?
Okay. That might.
I'm trying. Like, I really like this. I know you're different.
Let's see. I'll try a little bit more black paint.
As happy as I can be.
Okay. I guess it might end up being a grayish blue sky, but that's okay. Okay, so if anybody decides to do paint on theirs, we'll have to do layers. All right. And there's a trash can over there too, if you need it. All right, so I'm going to do. All right, so I got my brush a little bit of wet, and having a couple of cups of water is always good too. So I'm just going to paint this whole thing. I only got my brush slightly damp. So I'm just painting. Let's see, I'm trying to make sure everything's where you can see it. Okay, yeah. All right, you can see it on there. So I'm just going to do a layer of paint first. And if you do a layer of paint, it's going to be kind of streaky the first time. So don't worry about that, because you'll have to do a second layer. If you like that effect of it being kind of streaky, that's okay. And to make it dry faster, of course, a blow dryer is handy. So I'm actually going to do that a little bit. But if you use a blow dryer, of course, do what you would normally do when you're painting. Use the cool setting on your blow dryer. Oh, it's not going to turn on. Let's see. Oh, it's not coming on. What's going on with my blow dryer? Let's see. Try that again. Is it going to work? Oh, there we go. almost blew everything away too. So if you do use the blow dryer, your paper plate might decide to take off on you. So FYI, you might want to move it out of the way. Let's see, and my little paper towels too wanted to take off and fly too. Actually, I guess I could have put my Mod Podge on my paper plate, and that would have kept it from trying to fly away. All right, that dried fast. Okay. Wow, it looks purple up there. And it even looks that way on my screen, but it's the blue. That's interesting. As it's drying, I'm seeing the little cracks appear in the paint on there. I was like, wow, okay. That's so weird. How, I guess it's just that type of paint. It expands, I guess, or contracts.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird. Okay. I think I'm going to rinse out my brush because I'm not going to put any more paint on there since it's going to do that cracking thing anyway. And the reason it's good to have an old washcloth, whenever you're rinsing out your paintbrushes, it's hard to get them really, especially the sponges.
Mm-hmm.
They suck up a lot of water. It's easier to get them clean better with a washcloth. You can get the excess water out of them with it. So, and I give you 2 things of water because one of them you can do a really good job getting most of the paint out, and then in the other one you can kind of finish off getting it out. That way you've got one that's slightly cleaner than the other. Because you'll want to get it nice and clean because we'll reuse the paintbrush for the Mod Podge. I always thought they were more throwaway type brushes, but a coworker, she's like, no, she loaned me her Mod Podge one day. It's Megan again. And she's like, just rinse it out in the sink in the water. I'm like, really? It'll clean out? And she's like, yeah, it'll be fine. You'll be able to use it a bunch of times. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. I had no idea it would rinse out that well. And because I've used this particular one several times for painting and for with Mod Podge. As long as you get it rinsed out really good, it's fine. Here's the silver if you wanted it.
Okay. I'm over here playing with colors, so I don't know how it's gonna look.
Okay. All right. And I gave you some toothpicks in case you wanted to do some little dots or whatever on there. I just had a skewer. I couldn't find my toothpicks when I was doing it, and I found a skewer, and I was like, oh, that'll work. Anything with a pointy edge to it. All right, so I'm going to do the little dots again on this one too. And you can buy dotting tools for painting, and that's what they're called, dotting tools. And they're little metal things that it's kind of like a little stick, and then on either end of it will have different shaped round metal rounded edges to it, and they're different sizes. So there's like all kinds of like crafting type things you can do with them. Okay. Yeah, and like if you want to do stars and paintings and stuff, you can use it for that, or just any kind of dots that you want to have. And so I'm just making kind of stars.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right. And it doesn't take a whole lot for whenever you're doing the little stars or dots or whatever. And this one, I'm going to have more. I'm just doing around the edges. Oh, wow, it looks kind of cool up there. Huh. It looks a little bit different on the big screen. Okay. So I got that done. So now I just need it to dry a little bit more to have it completely, because whenever you do decide to get to the point of putting your image down, you'll want to put a layer of Mod Podge down in the area where you want your image. And if it's most of the tile, just go ahead and cover the entire tile with Mod Podge. Then carefully lay your image down where you want it. And if you, I forgot to tell you, I got gloves over there. If for some reason you prefer to have gloves.
I'm fine.
Okay. And once you lay it down, you smooth it out really good and make sure it lays down really good. And then you apply a layer of Mod Podge over the top of the image. Oh, and this is something cool. I wish I had a picture of it. I saw when one of my dogs passed away last year, a friend of mine showed me this cool craft that someone had taken an old jar of some kind and had put the dog's collar around the top edge of the jar and had painted it and stuff, and they used it as like a planter for plants. And I was like, well, that's really cool, but you know, a thing to do with it. But she was a little dog, and this was a big dog one. And so I was like, well, I don't really have a lot of use for a planter. So I save mason jars and jars that, just all kinds of jars at home all the time, because recycling don't take them. You know, they don't.
Yeah.
So there was a little teeny tiny jar that was a perfect size to put my paintbrushes in. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. I got some all-purpose paint, painted the whole outside of it pink.
So you paint the outside or the inside?
I did the outside because I went and printed off 2 photos of my dog that would fit on the outside of it. But I painted it in pink because her collar was pink with white polka dots on it. And I just painted that, and then I figured out where the images were going to go on the outside of it, and I painted square white areas so I could have the images having like a white area around it. And I Mod Podged the images onto the outside of the jar. So it's got her collar on it with her name tag hanging from it with pictures of her on it.
Oh, that sounds
and
beautiful.
It turned it so cute. And it was just Mod Podge, you know, and that's all and this multi-surface paint. This paint works okay, but there's another one that you can buy that's for like glass. And so.
Have you saw it's a video, if you use the canvases like that and you take a picture of yourself, like any picture, and then you put it on there and you just put the Mod Podge over and it looks like it's a canvas.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I have not seen that, but that's in the,
I like looking at the 5-minute crafts and stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was one of them. I said,
and if you wanted to paint some stuff like if your picture didn't cover the entire canvas, if you wanted to paint, and if you like to draw and paint, you could do images and picture, you know, other little, like maybe if you're into a certain kinds of crafts, you could paint some paintbrushes and some, I don't know, crochet hooks or, you know, whatever the crafty type things you like, you could do. Yeah, there's all kinds of what do they call it? There's a name for it, type of craft. Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. Okay, I think I'll blow dry it just to be sure. Okay. All right. So and there is different types of Mod Podge. The kind we've got is the matte. You can also buy the gloss. So if you want it shiny, you could do this one. But I found that previous coasters I've done that were shiny, I kind of liked them. But now that this time we were going to do actual images on it, we did paint pours on some other ones, which that was fine. And then the fingernail polish one, we did the gloss, and that was kind of cool. But I think with the image, I decided to go with the matte so it wouldn't be shiny, because I think the image would be kind of obscured if you used the shiny one on it. But yeah, and they've got a sparkly kind you can buy too. There's all kinds of different types of Mod Podge out there. All right, so, and you do want to make sure your sponge is fairly dried out good before you use it for your Mod Podge too. That's why I have my washcloth to get the excess water out of mine. I think it's pretty dry, and I guess you could always blow dry it with your blow dryer a little bit as long as you. I don't think it would melt if it got hot. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to get a bunch of Mod Podge on here and cover the entire tile with it. And it does give it a foggy look because it's a glue, but it's going to dry clear, so it's okay. All right, so I covered it. And I'm going to put this one, I tilted my other one, but I'm going to try to square this one up on here where it's straight. And I'm going to press down the edges and get it on there good. And then I'm going to go back over it with Mod Podge and make sure it's covered. And it seems a little weird going over paper with this, but it'll be okay. And one little layer is good because you'll want it to dry and then go over it again. All right, so I've got mine and it looks quite foggy. And in the meantime, since Mod Podge dries so quickly, I'm going to rinse out my foam brush so it won't dry on my foam brush while I'm waiting for the other stuff to dry. And I'm practically done, actually. I guess the longest part really is picking out what you want to put on there.
Yeah.
And how you want to arrange it and all of that. All right. I guess I could blow dry it too. I wonder how that's going to work. Let's see. So I'm going to do another layer. And usually, if you do the layers fairly thick, a couple of them is usually plenty. But if you want to do more than that, you can. And I'll even do mine like I'll go in one direction painting the Mod Podge on, and then I'll go a different direction the other time. So there won't be quite as many lines on it because the glue causes there to be kind of bumps or lines across it. All right, gets real foggy looking. Okay, and you could do it like a whole set, like 4 of them if you wanted to have matching ones.
Yeah.
Hey, and I didn't think about it. You could always sign it too. I almost always forget to sign my paintings whenever I'm doing my paintings. But you could sign these too and put your signature on them.
Yeah.
If I forget to do it, then I end up just get a marker and write it on the back of the painting. Because I'm not real good at signing my initials on the canvas. I'm just not real great at it. And the reason I picked the particular page that I picked of mine is I was telling my coworkers, a friend of mine, back whenever I first read this comic book, ElfQuest, I had a good friend that actually, I'm still in touch with her. She lives in Missouri. I turned her on to ElfQuest, and she fell in love with it too. And since we were teenagers, like 13, 14 years old, she's like, let's memorize this page because it's these 2 friends talking to each other. And she identified with one of them, and I identified with the other character. So we memorized this entire page. So to this day, I'm like, I know that part, the part of my character, and I bet she still remembers the whole thing that her character said too.
So to have that together.
Yeah. Yeah, they do blow away. Let that dry a little bit on its own. I don't know if it causes it to have a foggy look to it by using a blow dryer or not. And since I'm on Facebook, the creators of this comic book, I'm on their Facebook page, and some people, when they do their art and stuff, they'll take pictures of it and load it on there. So I might put these on there and go, look.
Yeah,
this is a fun craft you could do if you wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's cool.
forgot to tell the people that got the supplies for the program that the little container they got was Mod Podge. I didn't label it. I just now realized that. I'm like, I gave them all these supplies and did not tell them what they got. I usually do that at the beginning. I think I got so distracted talking to you.
Sorry.
That's okay. I knew I was going to do weird stuff. I forget things even when it's just me doing these programs. I'll try to have a list of things I need to go over while I'm doing it, but it's hard to remember sometimes. But yeah, they got we gave them a foam brush, a tile, and I just cut out some pages, just kind of guessed on what they might like, and a little thing of Mod Podge. We have a bunch of these, 2-ounce containers, like condiment containers that you could put food in, and with lids, and we've been doing that with all the painting programs. We'll pick all the colors and put them in there and stuff for them, and give them a canvas, and if they hadn't ever gotten paintbrushes from us before, we usually have a set of, we've ordered different kinds, like this was one of the sets we had one time, and I bought some from Walmart here recently. That's a new set that I've been getting too. That's a little bit nicer ones. They're still student paintbrushes, but they've got more brushes to choose from and stuff. So, well, let's see. Mine's drying very slowly. I'm a little worried that using the blow dryer on the Mod Podge caused it to have a hazy look to it. Yeah, I would, just to be on the safe side, you might not, because mine's taken forever. It seems dry, but it has a haze to it. It's not as clear. Here, I'll show you. See, this one looks hazy compared to that one.
Yeah, that's my favorite,
Yeah, so I think it's going to cause a haze unless it dries on its own. So,
that's perfect. I love it.
So, yeah, that might be a bad idea. So, I would kind of, it might end up being okay, but right now it does not look as clear as the one I did first. And the one I did first, I did let it dry on its own. But it dried fairly fast. I'd get up and go do a few things and come back, and it would be dry. So, I guess as long as you're not impatient. And I don't know, I guess it is still a little bit tacky, but it may eventually. It does seem to be getting better and better. So it might eventually be okay. It looks fine up there on the screen, but looking at it in person, it kind of doesn't. But it seems to be improving, so maybe it's just giving it time to dry helps.
Should I wait to put the picture on?
No, you can go ahead and put it on there, yeah. Yeah, you don't want the Mod Podge to dry. And while the other Mod Podge is wet, if you want to go ahead and go over the image, just don't be real heavy-handed when you're painting over it, because it might scoot the image. But you can, if you tap down all the edges real good before you put your Mod Podge over it, it should be okay if you paint over with the Mod Podge right now. Just make sure your brush is good and dry before you get Mod Podge on it, because you don't want it to have any water in it when you're getting Mod Podge on it. It's always nice holding on to old washcloths and stuff. They come in a really good handy, especially with painting and stuff like that. I followed I might even do another layer on here. I don't know. I think I only did 2 layers on the first one. But, okay. Well, actually, I guess my tutorial is really over with, so rather than have them listening to us working on our project, I'll go ahead and end it, because and I'll show this. They've seen how to do everything, so I'm going to put on screen the project for next week. Is a paint along of a butterfly. And actually, I had a cool encounter with a butterfly today at work. Outside, there was this beautiful black butterfly that was about 2 inches tall. I mean, it had beautiful wings. And I got it to crawl up on my hand.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so cool. And then it crawled up my arm. My coworker took a picture of it while it was doing that. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I love butterflies, man. But so we're doing this next week, or in 2 weeks. So the sign-up sheet is available at the circulation desk, so you can call or come up here and sign up for it. And you can either do virtual or in person. So just tell them on the phone if you're calling which one you're signing up for, if it's virtual or in person. You'll pick up your supplies the day of the program if you decide to do it virtual, and then if you want to do it in person, just show up at 4 o'clock on that day, and we'll. I just have to know ahead of time, so I'll know how many people to set up for. So that's it for this time. So we'll see you next time. Bye.